Leave it to me to wait until the beta is almost over to give my impressions on the motherfucker, right? Now, obviously, with the Goodbye PlayStation 3 series going on this week with Assassin's Creed, I didn't have time to post up a video on this sumbitch, but I at least had time to tell the YouTuber to go fuck himself. Anyways, the beta's almost over and I'm finally posting up some more shit about this game. Now, this video is going to cover two distinct parts. The quality of the beta that we got and the 10 concerns that I have regarding the game itself. But I will say this right off the bat, this is still a day one purchase for me. This is going to be a game I sink many hours into as long as the amount of content is there. And I certainly think Bungie's heading in the right direction with this game. As a beta, this shit was excellent. I mean, we got 5 story missions that occur in the game. We got the same strike mission in the alpha. We got 4 multiplayer maps against each other in the Crucible, and that's if you played the Iron Banner challenge on the weekends and shit like that. In terms of quantity and quality, this is a pretty decent amount because remember, this is only a test. This is not a full release of a game, and most companies that roll out betas or previews or demos, whatever the fuck you want to call these shits nowadays, they only give you a small amount of content. I mean, sometimes it's just one map. Sometimes it might be just a campaign mission or two. In the case of NCAA football, we got 6 out of 120 teams in the game playing each other in just 3 of the 150 stadiums. So quantity-wise, we're only supposed to get a small amount of the game, and it's meant to be tested out for the developer to receive their share of feedback. I am perfectly satisfied with the amount of content that we actually received. The missions were short and sweet. The strike mission takes a while if you're low level, but once you unlock better things, it's pretty much a breeze. And the Crucible portion offered up a fraction of the maps we're supposed to get in the game. Remember, the shit is all free, so it's not like we paid for any of this crap. I mean, I'm sure people are going to say, oh, they made you pre-order just to get in on the motherfucker, but you could have done that at Amazon without paying for anything, or borrow the code for someone who got those 3 additional codes once they signed up for this bitch. Now, as soon as you start the game, you get thrown into a tutorial, whatever, and I guess that's the start of the game or something. Could just be for the beta, but essentially, it's the start of the motherfucker. The ghost guides you through the war in a tutorial, and then you do a couple of early missions that allows you to get, like, your ship, your grenade, your sparrow, superpower, whatever, man. It does feel like the start of the actual campaign or whatever the fuck. And in doing these, your friends can actually join you as well. After I finished the tutorial, Bike Crazy jumped right into my fire team, and we headed out on the next set of missions. It's fairly seamless, and Bungie has said from day one that the goal was really to blend the concept of the campaign and an open world co-op together. It's a pretty solid mechanism that's already working in the beta, so if it's working in the beta, then you have a feeling it's going to work when the game actually releases. You can do the campaign missions if you wish, you can explore the map, they give you a pretty damn large map in this motherfucker, just wandering around and shooting shit, or you can head over the Crucible for multiplayer action, so you have plenty of things you can actually do in this beta. You know, unlike other games that call themselves beta, you know, release that shit 2 weeks before the game comes out and try to patch things on day one. This beta, however, launched 2 months before the game actually comes out, so there's still plenty of time for Bungie to tweak anything they need to tweak, or fix before the game actually ships out. Without a doubt, this is hands down what companies should be rolling out as part of their games. The beta is exactly what large-scale ambitious games need to do. You hear that, Rockstar? Now, there have been a number of ridiculous complaints like leaving the level cap at level 8 or the beta feeling like the alpha. But I mean, what do you expect? Do you expect the full game? Of course you're not going to get that. Do you expect to be level 10 or something, play halfway through ranking up the motherfucker? And people complaining that the beta felt like the alpha. Guess what? Alphas and betas are not very different from each other and are actually quite similar when you look at the software testing cycle. And remember, PlayStation 4 is the only console that got the alpha, so the other 3 consoles are experiencing this for the first time. Now, I would love to sit here and dick slap all the morons complaining about, oh, Bungie not liking Xbox people, or people saying that the story's boring, meanwhile only small details have been released on this motherfucker, or those who say this is something that's not original and they copied other games, but I'd rather get into my concerns for the game. So as for my concerns in the game, here are the 10 things that I personally noticed that either need to be fixed, tweaked, need improvement or updates, or we're just going to have to live with it. I know that are going to annoy the fuck out of me. Number 1, will the 3 classes have more synergy with each other? Now, here's my biggest concern. You can take 6 Titans into a match without losing out on the Hunter or Warlock abilities. You can do 3 Hunters or 2 Warlocks and a Titan, whatever. There is no reason to have all 3 classes in a fire team, other than the fact you just like using a certain character. You know, unlike a game like Mass Effect where biotic and tech powers work together, Resistance 2 where you needed a shield, ammo, and health to survive, this game doesn't show a unique need for all 3 classes to be used together, which makes you wonder, why was this restricted to just 3 classes and 3 fire team members for the co-op? Why not 4 classes or 5 classes? Why not a fire team of 4 or 5 people in strike missions? Of course, additional classes could come in the form of DLC or whatever the fuck, but I see no real reason as to how these classes actually synergize. Could they be more useful when the game releases? Sure, they could still show reasons why you actually need to have all these 3 classes, but as of the beta, I don't see any reason why we need these 3 classes and only 3 members in a fire team. Number 2, why do we have so many variations of guns? Holy shit, man. I have a Shingen C, a Shingen E, a Cydonia AR-1, AR-2, AR-3. You know, I spend the majority of my time dismantling guns because I have so many that I don't need. I have a top-notch gun, but then I earn 15 guns that do less damage, so I sell them for glimmer and whatnot. I'm not sure what the logic is behind all the variations of the guns, but the game doesn't need that many. It just seems like there are too many weapons to actually keep track of in this motherfucker. Now, I understand, you need different guns for the different levels that you are in the game, but why not just stick to one name on a gun? Why does every single gun need so many variations? For level 1, you can have the Kvastov, whatever the fuck that gun is that you get at the beginning. Then level 2 is the Marshall, level 3 is the Sahara, level 10 is the Shingen, level 15 the Cydonia, whatever the fuck. But the variations of each gun and the amount we receive is mind-numbingly absurd. I think it could easily be cut down to a more manageable number, but again, this is only a beta, and of course Bungie still has a chance to change all of this shit on release of the game. Number 3, the menus. Oh, these fucking ridiculous menus and controls. You know, I swear, this is one of the biggest reasons why I believe this game is coming to PC eventually. Navigating the menus is essentially like moving a mouse around on a PC. There's no lock or snap feature that we normally have with console controls and shit like that, which makes almost no sense at all. Why must we hold buttons down to interact with things? No, really, to continue after a mission, hold triangle, hold square to talk to characters in the tower, to summon a ghost. It's fucking stupid, man. The only thing you should need to hold the button down for is to revive a motherfucker when he dies. That's it. Instead, you're holding it down for pretty much everything. Goddamn, what the fuck was just wrong with pressing the button one time and having shit happen? The fuck I gotta hold shit down for, man? This shit has got to go. It's probably the biggest beef that I have with the game, and the beef isn't even related to the gameplay. It's a seriously stupid fucking decision for a functional portion of the menus in the game. I don't understand it. Hopefully you guys fix that shit. Number 4, chat being disabled because of trolling. As you guys notice, you can't hear anything from other players in a room, even if you're on a strike mission with a player not in your party. Now, I know Bungie mentioned that people don't want to hear the assholes in rooms and shit like that just trolling, which I completely agree with 100%. I really don't give 2 shits about people in the tower out in the wild, and I certainly don't want to hear a fucking squeaker in my ear. But when it comes to strike missions or the Crucible, we should at least have an audio option to hear all or hear only party members or hear fire team members, and maybe even an in-game mute option so that we have the choice of whether or not we want to hear somebody. But the fact that you just outright restrict everyone in the audio portion seems counterintuitive for a social game. I think at least we need a mute option in this motherfucker. Number 5. How much content will strike missions and raids offer in comparison to the Crucible? Now, in going through the tower, you're going to notice that a number of things depend on your time spent in the Crucible as opposed to your time spent exploring and doing the story missions. Most of the top guns and armor require multiplayer ranks. Sure, there's some legendary weapons available to people just doing strike and raid missions and whatnot, but the overwhelming majority of shit that you find in the tower required Crucible points to unlock, which raises the question, how much content will the open world have? Obviously, with player versus player, that's endless. People can fight each other all they want since each room and each party changes. But how much non-Crucible content will we have considering there aren't as many legendary weapons for being an explorer? Number 6, we had to complete the tutorial missions, collecting the gold chests, and doing all the regular story missions for all 3 characters. Does that mean we need to complete the campaign with all 3 characters as well? You know, am I going to have to play the campaign and the campaign missions 3 separate times to complete this motherfucker? You know, personally, I don't mind because I do like the game, but this is almost an issue related to the number 1 thing that I mentioned already, in that all 3 classes have no synergy with each other at all. If you need to beat the campaign with all 3 characters, I hope there is some level of crossover where you don't need to do it 3 separate times from beginning to the end. I should only have to do the tutorial once. I should only have to see cutscenes once. But I have a feeling we're going to have to do the campaign 3 separate times up in this motherfucker. You know, at the very least, if I did a mission with one class and there's a lengthy cutscene, I want the ability to skip the cutscenes on any future playthroughs with my other class. You know, it doesn't make sense listening to that astrology motherfucker tell me 3 separate times about the Traveler. Tell me once, I'm good to go, let me skip the other 2 tutorials. Number 7, a map. You know, I'm puzzled as to why an overhead map was not provided in the game. Granted, it's probably because Bungie wants us to explore, but shit, I would at least like to know where the fuck I am at times, man. You know, I learned the map fairly quickly, but I'm sure I missed areas of the game that I would want to visit. It doesn't have to be a massively detailed map, but at least give me an idea where I am. Number 8, the special weapons, in particular the shotgun, and maybe even some of the fusion rifles, they feel woefully underpowered when you're playing against the AI. You know, I can line up a bunch of Fallen or Hive for headshots and basically rip through them like nothing with an assault rifle, but the shotgun, which just screams up-close power, it doesn't do as much damage compared to some of the auto rifles in its same level. You know, think about this for a second. I have a 67 attack rating on my highest level shotgun in the beta. My auto rifle has 62 level attack. My rifle fires 44 bullets while my shotgun fires 5 before reloading. What gun do you think does more damage in the long run? What gun works at all ranges? I think the shotguns need a massive buff. At least with the fusion rifles, they do that piss trail worth of damage. You know, fire that shit and you see a shitload of damage being done at pretty much any distance and shit like that. But the shotguns have pellets that do damage, and it's minimal compared to the amount of damage that I can do with some of the auto rifles in the game. Number 9, will we get some kind of indicator as to how much XP or something we need to achieve to unlock the power of a character or whatever the fuck it is? You know, when you look at the power tree, you see this green bar that indicates the progress towards that particular power. However, that bar could mean 5 matches or 500 matches. That bar could mean I need to get 10 kills or whatever the fuck it is, or 10,000, because there's no unit of measure as to what we need to progress. You know, rather than have a bar of progress, or in addition to that bar, getting a number indicator would be a better way to show up the rank up progression. And finally, number 10, and this is going to get its own video tomorrow actually, balance in the Crucible. Honestly, this feels like an arm race to the highest levels, and I'm going to get into more detail tomorrow, but the balance of the player versus player portion of the game should be a big concern for those players who don't plan on sinking hundreds of hours into this game. Now, down the road, I might also address some of the stupid and uninformed comments people had about this game. You know, mainly for idiots who are looking for a reason to hate on it, yet they haven't tried out the alpha or the beta. There are so many brain-fuckingly stupid comments about a game that hasn't released all its details yet, and people making assumptions off the little bit we've seen of the franchise. But again, I might do that down the road. For now, tomorrow's video is going to address the issues that I had with the Crucible in this motherfucker. Now, I told you guys from the beginning I would give you an honest opinion of the beta of the game, and I'll say this. I am very excited for this game. The amount of content we got in the beta was just the right amount to make you want more up in this motherfucker. You know, it doesn't burn yourself out on the shit. So when the game releases, I will definitely be getting this game and probably going after my first Platinum Trophy on PlayStation 4 on this motherfucker or whatever. You know, with its social capabilities and the ability to play with friends and subscribers, I know I'm going to have a ton of fun in this game, and I can absolutely recommend this game to anyone who enjoyed space-age shooting games because it is that damn good. This is definitely going to be a fun game. Is it going to be the greatest game ever? I don't know about that. But at the very least, it's fucking fun. Anyways, as I alluded to in the video, tomorrow is going to be another Destiny video in which I talked about the number 10 thing that I had on my list today, the Crucible. Oh, the Crucible. You guys are going to get to see some multiplayer gameplay from me. So as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.